The Times of London, I guess the Sunday Times, had a lengthy article today about one of the world's great degenerates, Michel Foucault, who died in 1984 of AIDS-related complications at the age of 57, but has had an undue and totally unmerited influence on academia, especially. His ideas, basically they're called postmodernism, and then there are offshoots like queer theory and critical race theory. But his ideas are why we're so goddamn fucked up on our foreign policy, or not on our foreign policy, but on public policy on the left. This guy is chiefly responsible. He's not the only person, but he's up there. He's the one, basically the one. And, you know, he wrote about the history of sexuality, and he was into philosophy and all this shit. And yes, he was the beacon of today's woke ideology, as this article goes, has become the latest prominent French figure to face a retrospective reckoning for sexually abusing children. And again, it's part of this is that he was a pervert, and part of this is that he was French. And I've railed about the French attitudes about how they treat women and how they treat children in other videos and posts that I've written. But this thing, I mean, he's beyond the pale. He also came to the United States during the 70s, and he was absolutely went apeshit over the San Francisco bathhouses and all that. He was just so fascinated by that stuff. It was right up his damned alley. And of course, he paid the piper. I don't wish AIDS on anybody, but this damn thing, he should have gone to prison. He really should have gone to prison. And there's a good reason why. It says here, a fellow intellectual, Guy Sorman, has unleashed a storm among Parisian intellos with his claim that Foucault, who died in 1984, age 57, was a pedophile rapist who had sex with Arab children. He probably didn't, if he was a rapist, he raped the kids, okay? With Arab children while living in Tunisia in the late 1960s. And the Women's Liberation Front over on their Facebook page has pretty much the gist of this, almost all of it, except for the rest of the article, because good old Times of UK is under a paywall. But Sorman, 77, said he had visited Foucault with a group of friends on an Easter holiday trip to the village of Sidi Bou, I mispronounced it, near Tunis, where the philosopher was living in 1969. Young children were running after Foucault, saying, "What about me? Take me, take me," he recalled last week in an interview with the Sunday Times. They were 8, 9, 10 years old. He was throwing money at them and would say, "Let's meet at 10 p.m. at the usual place." This, it turned out, was the local cemetery. Let's quit calling it make love. He sexually abused there on the gravestones with young boys. The question of consent wasn't even raised. Of course not. He thought they were little adults. Little kids were just little adults for him to use and exploit. He was a piece of shit. And this guy has all this influence on academia. It's unconscionable. It's absolutely unconscionable. And this guy isn't much better, because he now, years after Foucault is dead, he regrets that he didn't report Foucault to the police or denounce him in the press. But yeah, everybody knew that he was a damn degenerate. Everybody knew it, and he wanted to legalize sex with children under age 13. Yeah, he was a piece of shit. He was a total perverted piece of shit. And yes, he's the most cited scholar in the world, often associated with the rise of identity politics in America. I mean, he's just bad, okay? I mean, there's some really rotten human beings in the world. There's people like Judith Butler, one of Foucault's disciples, and her mangling of the English language. There's Peter Singer and his, not just his animal rights nonsense, but also his desire to, or his belief that parents have the right to kill their Down syndrome kids, or they should kill their kids up to age 1 year of age. And then you have Charles Koch, who's a billionaire with too much damn money, who's tried to destroy democracy in the United States. And that damn Rothblatt character, Martin or whatever he is, that guy is trying to foist transhumanism on the world. I mean, all these people are rotten to the core. And it's hard to determine who's the worst of the bunch. But Foucault, I mean, the other people, to my knowledge, weren't perverts in their personal life, to my knowledge. But that thing was. That thing absolutely was. And I believe that any of this crap, especially the queer theory, which is taught in quote-unquote gender studies, which used to be, back in the day, was called women's studies, but women got thrown out or marginalized. Now they're just lumped in with gender studies and sexuality. They don't have a separate category in most colleges anymore. But this garbage of queer theory really needs, and of course Joe Biden would never do it, because he doesn't know what in the hell he's doing on any of this crap. But there should be no money, no federal funding for any college or university that teaches queer theory. Because in part, queer theory and many of its adherents support pedophilia, support crimes against children, and that's not acceptable. Sorry, it's not. It's a matter for law enforcement, not for academic freedom. So yeah, Foucault is a piece of shit, and his ideas should go into the trash bin of history.